Okay, this is take two. I am trying to record this video with some thing called snippet, and I really don't know how it works. I just know my game bar thing doesn't work when I try to read something. But anyhow, this is a video about one of the books I am writing called Winged Tyrants. I'm a big Game of Thrones fan, and I'd like to write. And I'm not saying that I'm a good writer in any sense, or it's gonna sound anything like Game of Thrones. It's just a book composed of different elements that I really like from Game of Thrones and stuff that I just find interesting about Norse mythology, anything medieval. I love medieval history. It is one of my favorite things, and it was also one of the classes I did the best of in school. But I've been writing this anytime I had the chance to, in between lunch breaks at work or in the mornings before work, and I was working a very long work shift for the past couple of months. So I've been working 80 to 100 hours a week, and that was just too much for me. I know it might sound like a pansy, but I had to quit. It's just I had no time to myself. I had no time for family, and I take care of my grandparents quite often, so I didn't have a lot of time for them. So I ended up getting done, and in the between stages of finding a new job for myself, something that's closer to home and easier to go to work, do this, and hang out with my grandparents and take care of them. I will be playing games more often and recording them and putting them on, and I will also be reading a little bit of my book that I've been writing. And I plan to get a little bit of feedback from people, um, see what they think of the book. Maybe they can give me some thoughts, um, and maybe like see if you want more of me reading. I'm not a good reader. I stutter a lot, and I have a little bit of a hard time reading and staying focused. So it's a weird combo. Um, some point in time, I will figure out how to record and edit, so you're not just staring at this white screen that is in front of you. Um, I'll try to find like an image or something you can stare at. Maybe I'll add some like music in. But for now, I'm gonna start reading the book. Um, this bake is bake. Oh my gosh, this book, this book is based off of what if a village or a people in medieval times um came into contact with dragons for the first time, and I'm not really dragons, more wyverns. I'm a wyvern guy. What if they came into contact with wyverns for the first time? Like, yeah, they'll have all the other mythological creatures and things, but wyverns, that's a destructive force that they come into contact with. So I guess I'll start off here. Let me get a little sip of water going here, and we'll get right to it. And lo, from the heavens did descend a great flame, death itself riding upon the winds, heralded by the roar of thunder and the shattering of the sky. The harbinger of ruin soared forth, cloaked in shadow, and upon its back there rode a figure most fearsome, a rider with hair as pale as winter's first frost. Oh my gosh, first frost, clad in armor blacker than the void between stars, gleaming with a dread majesty. The beast was of no common ilk, but a creature born of nightmare and forged in tempest. Its wings, vast and razor-edged, cleaved through the forest canopy as a woodsman fells his timber. Claws, long and cruel as forged blades, rent flesh from bone and tore through herds as they were but straw. Its tail, a monstrous column of muscle and bone, struck with such fury it shattered stone and sent wagons tumbling as dice upon a tavern table. and its maw, gods preserve us. Oh my gosh, I keep burping. I'm sorry, I'm drinking ginger ale. Was the line? Oh, okay, hold on, give me a second. Okay, its its maw, gods preserve us, was lined with teeth sharp as the finest daggers, piercing steel and soul alike, biting through knightly plate as though if it were parchment paper. Woe unto any who dared rise against the shadow from above, for in its wake lay only ash and sorrow. No man nor sage knew whence such a creature came. It arrived cloaked in the sable veil of night, a terror without precedent, leaving neither footprint nor omen in the lands it defiled, as though the very maw of the underworld had yawned wide, loosing forth one of its most dreadful fiends. The beast descended upon a realm with fury unbrilled. Crops withered beneath its shadow, villages burned to cinders, and the cries of the innocent were drowned by its deafening roar. We stood helpless, our swords shattered like twigs, our arrows glancing harmlessly off the iron hide that clothed it, scale upon scale, like the plates of a dread god's armor. Nothing could quell its wrath until he rose. Xavier Grohol, a man of cunning mind and resolute heart, forged hope from despair. He fashioned a monstrous engine of war, an arbalest of such size and strength that men called it the worm spike. This great ballista, with bolts thick as a man's thigh and heads forged to pierce stone, could drive through 3 warriors and nail them to an oaken tree with a single shot. This weapon became the clarion of all unity. Under its shadow the scattered realms rallied, and at last gave name to the horror that plagued them, Drolgar the Terror. The bolts, tempered in the fires of vengeance and sharpened by desperation, were made for one purpose alone, to pierce the creature's black heart and end the long night of our torment. Ugh. See, that's first page, right? And then we get to that's I think the most detailed part of the whole book, and I want to add more of that whole English into the rest. So we'll continue. We'll go a few pages down. Probably do the first chapter. We pray to the gods, our voices rising like the storm winds, seeking mercy and strength. We call upon the smith, that he may forge the bolts with unyielding steel, for we know our fate lies in their power. We beseech the Pathfinder, that he might guide the shaft of each bolt with unerring precision, steering it true toward the heart of the beast. We implore the Magnificent, the Shining One, to bestow upon us a fraction of the might that courses through Drolgar's veins, so that we may stand with strength and valor in the coming battle. And we pray to Brute, to the mighty God of endurance and will, that our spirits may remain steadfast and pure, for we face a struggle that will break the weak and scatter the fearful. In our hearts we carry the weight of all of our people, and in our hands we wield the might of hope itself. The great arbalest Wormspike has been wrought in defiance, mounted upon wheels of iron and wood so mighty that 20 strong stallions are required to pull its immense bulk. It is a sight to behold, a weapon of destruction and hope, a symbol of our unity. From every kingdom they come, from every realm they rally. 40,000 strong knights, archers, smiths, and common folk stand together, eyes fixed upon the great engine of war, for it is their beacon of salvation, their last hope against the terror that threatens to consume them. And I'm pretty sure later on in the book, I very well might have messed up the numbers of how many men there are, so I will definitely have to go back. I try to edit as much as I can because I do forget what I write half the time, so I have to read the whole thing and continue to write from there. Though our march is steadfast and our hearts resolute, we know the road is ahead. We know the road ahead. Jesus, we know the road's ahead. The we, we know the road ahead is fraught with trials and tribulations. For Drilgar's path of destruction stretches far, a beast of terror that has torn through kingdoms and left ruin in its wake. We set forth with courage, but the journey is long, and the shadow of the beast looms ever larger on the horizon. The night of Drilgar's first descent upon our lands, the night of flames and thunder, was not only the hardbringer of death, but also the birth of one who would stand as our final hope, Alaric Stormborn, heir to the ancient and storied kingdom of Stony Hollow, was born into this chaos, a kingdom proud and unyielding, carved into the very bones of the Stormspire Mountains, founded by the first men who dared tame these treacherous lands. But that night was also marked by loss. The king Gendrick Stormborn, first of his name, and the queen Elizabeth Stormborn, beloved. Blah, 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 blah. Words are so hard, I hate reading. I like to write, but I can't read. Beloved ruler of Stony Hollow, sacrificed their lives in a final act of love and devotion to their son. As Drilgar's wrath tore through the kingdom, the royal couple made certain their heir would live to see another day. It was on their backs that Alaric was carried to safety, his mother shielding him with her own life and his father battling to the very end, fending off the beast's rage long enough for the child to escape. They perished in the flames that consumed their castle, leaving the infant Alaric to inherit a kingdom in ruin and a legacy soaked in blood. 18 years have passed since that fateful night, and in all those years the weight of their sacrifice has not lessened. Raised by the kingdom's most seasoned warriors and the wisest sages, Alaric's training was one of constant trials. He learned the ways of sword and bow, but it was the discipline of mind that forged him into the leader he was today. He is, not was, the leader he is today. From the earliest days he had no choice but to endure, his nights filled with brutal sparring lessons beneath the watchful eyes of seasoned commanders, his days spent studying the ancient texts of the first men who once carved Stony Hollow from the mountainside. He learned not only the art of war, but the art of leadership, the harsh lessons of how to command royalty, and how to make decisions with lives hanging in the balance, and how to fight not for glory, but for the people. Yet the deepest lessons came from within, the hollow pain of never knowing his parents' embrace, the haunting silence of their absence, and the unyielding drive to honor their sacrifice. Every step of his life has been marked by the ghosts of those who fell that night, his parents, his kingdom, his people. Now as he marches with us toward the beast that killed his family and shattered his childhood, Alaric Stormborn, our great leader, is no longer a boy of sorrow. He has become a man forged in fire, tempered in grief, and driven by vengeance. Under his banner we rally, united by the memory of the fallen and the strength of the hope they placed in him. The first kingdom that Alaric's army came upon was the small, yet storied land of Thornwood. Oh yeah, sorry I didn't mention. This is the next chapter. That was chapter 1. Haven't really came up with a name. I think that's just like, or maybe not even being chapter 1. I think that's just like, what do they call it? A prelude? I don't know. But here's where it actually starts developing. So here we go. The first kingdom that Alaric's army came upon was the small yet storied land of Thornwood, a kingdom nestled among towering pines, a place where knowledge and wisdom were treasured above all, above, above all. But when Drolkar's wings, I'm sorry, holy cow, ugh. This is why I make a horrible DM in D&D. I do the same thing. I struggle so hard. All right. Let me get back into it. But when Trolgar's wings first cut through the sky, Thornwood fell swiftly, its fate sealed by the terror that had come to their lands. In the span of 3 days the kingdom was reduced to rubble. The villagers spoke in whispers of the rider who came upon the beast, a figure cloaked in the shadow and death. In the shadow? In shadow and death. Yeesh. They called him the Harvester of Sorrow. Metallica reference, by the way. For wherever his shadow fell, sorrow followed. His blade was swift and merciless, and the tales told of his great sword, a weapon as large as a man's torso, that cleaved through stone and steel alike. Among the fallen of Thornwood, the greatest loss was their champion, Sir Amudith Growhall, a knight of legendary strength, said to possess power drawn from the sap of the ancient Ents that guarded the sacred groves of Thornwood itself. With his massive frame and unyielding resolve, I find it sad that I can't pronounce the things I've written. Like, resolve. I think it's resolve. Anyhow, Sir Armudith was a force unmatched in battle. He stood as a bulwark against the beast, defending his people and his land with every ounce of his being. But on the 3rd day of Drolgar's arrival, the Harvester of Sorrow dismounted the beast, and with a single stroke of his great sword, Sir Armudith was slain, his heart pierced by a blow so powerful that even the ancient magics within him could not save him. He died as he lived, fighting for those he loved, protecting his child, Xavier Growhall, who had been but a boy at the time. Xavier was left to watch as the greatest man he ever knew, his father, his hero, fell before the might of the Harvester. His father's final act had been to shield Xavier from the beast's wrath, and in that moment, Xavier had been marked by fate. His mother, who had passed during childbirth 3 years prior, had left him with no memory of her. Her name was lost to time. He was a bastard, an orphan, a child of Thornwood, and yet he lived. With the death of his father came the death of his childhood. But the Meisters, the wise men, and the women of Thornwood took him in, raising him as one of their own. He was trained not just in the ways of sword and war, but in the art of mind, the forging of steel, the crafting of magic, and the building of machines. Thornwood, a place of knowledge, would become the crucible in which Xavier's destiny was forged. With no father to guide him, Xavier poured himself into his studies. He was a boy with the heart of a warrior, but the mind of a master craftsman. He learned the secrets of ancient smithing techniques, of enchantments that could bind steel and magic, and of machines that could reshape the very landscape of warfare. Every day the boy now turned man worked tirelessly in the forges, his hands stained with soot and his mind filled with a singular thought: vengeance. He would not let the death of his father, nor the destruction of Thornwood be in vain. His genius became evident to all who watched him. The boy had lost everything now. The boy... Hold on. I need to drink a water. Give me a second. Or drink a soda, whatever. Same thing as a liquid. Sorry. The boy who had lost everything now stood poised. Stood poised. Oh, fuck me. Oh, geez, you can't swear on here. I'm sorry, YouTube. I didn't mean to swear. Yeah. Stood poised. We'll say it that way. I don't think I'm saying that right. To create a weapon that could strike fear into the heart of the beast that had taken so much from him. Oh my gosh, excuse me. Years passed, and as the great beast tore through the lands, Xavier grew into a man of both intellect and strength. He forged a weapon like none other, a machine of war, vast and formidable, a ballista that could launch bolts capable of piercing the beast's dark heart. It was his vengeance incarnate, and with it he would strike down the harvester of sorrow. The weapon he built would not only avenge his father, but also unite the realms in a desperate stand against the terror that threatened to consume them all. With the worm-spike, Xavier Grohol, the bastard child of Thornwood, would rise to become the very thing that Drollgar feared, a man with the mind, the heart, and the power to change the course of history. So that's Xavier's introduction. Um, this is all in the same 18-year span. So I know it sounds a little weird, but Xavier and Alaric are around the same age, and they're the two biggest main characters, and there'll be more to kind of join in later on, but they are the two most important characters. So Drollgar, the dragon that came in, um, it attacked Stony Hollow first, and the reason that they fell is they had no idea. Um, like I said, it's like hell opened up and unleashed its own hell spawn, and it just kind of came out of nowhere and took out the place. Well, Thornwood is farther off, so they found out about Stony Hollow being attacked. They just didn't know by what, so they were prepared. And that's why it took 3 days for the dragon to break into there. Yeah, so they're around the same age. And then 18 years pass. So Xavier's 24, 25, and then Alaric would be 22, 23-ish. So still I wouldn't say young boy, but still in that type of teenage sense. Because I really don't think you're done being a teenager at 18. I think you're young and dumb until you're 26 at least. So yeah. I don't really have a part where they kind of meet. So yeah, I think I'll end it there. And if anyone wants to hear any more of this, I'll continue another time. So for now, I think I am done. I'm gonna go record a game video now, and I'll let this one get uploaded. So goodbye.